All right, so we're about to embark on a little bit of a trek. I tried to drive the Tacoma in to a launching point of sorts, but wasn't successful. I was lucky to get out unstuck in the 1.5 feet of snow that I was in. I probably could have made it through if I persisted, but you know, when you get lucky, it's best to just, know when to walk away. So that's what we're gonna do. Me and Marshall here. Got his backpack on, loaded in with 3 days worth of food and some, because I know he's going to be hungry after all the work we're doing here to get to our destination, which is across a lake. And got my snowshoes on. I don't know how well they're going to hold. I haven't busted them out in many years. Well, actually about 2 years, because we just haven't had enough snow to justify it. So we're going to see how that goes. Got my sled all loaded up here. It looks like a lot of stuff because there's a wood stove in there, survival gear. I got the bug out roll. I got a little table. And actually, I was going to bring my ice fishing shack, but it's just too big. It's just too much. I need a bigger sled, obviously, and a sled dog team. So I got that started anyway. So let's disembark and see how this goes.
This video was brought to you in part by Silky saws, the sharpest, fastest cutting, and most capable saws for survivalists, bushcrafters, and preppers. Go check them out on CanadianPreparedness.com. And don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when new videos are posted. Enjoy the video.
Hey! Come on! What are you trying to eat? Hopefully it's not deer crap. Marshall! Let's go! Canadian pupper. So this is where I tried to take the Tacoma through, and I made it a ways. Let's just head down here. Tacoma actually did a pretty good job. It's got a pretty smart crawl control feature, which got me out of this jam, which allows power to be distributed to the different wheels in such a way where it's kind of a smart technology, where it gets the power to the wheel that's gaining traction and takes the power from the ones that aren't. But as you can see here, this is where I got hung up. So I had to dig myself out, kind of where Marshall is there. And I wasn't going to push it any further than this because it's just getting too deep. Maybe if that snow was packed a little more, but it isn't, so. I think you better let me lead the way, bro. All right, have it your way. All right, so here we are at the start of the lake that we're gonna cross, and it looks like there was a snowmobiler who paved us a nice path. So, you know what? I ain't gonna be no traditionalist. I'm gonna take that path if it's there. Less energy expenditure, get to my destination faster, and have a more pleasurable experience. This is hard enough as it is. As you can see here, I don't have a fancy pulk with poles or anything like that. I actually like the freedom of just the rope, because if I need to, if I want to use my arms a bit more, I can do that. I can transfer the weight a little easier. It's kind of like the difference between automatic and standard. I prefer the control of just having the rope. And I've seen some really good designs, like by Survival Russia, where he has the one rope with the pole. And I don't use it that often that I need to get that specific. This probably isn't the best system. I do have a monowalker harness that I was going to strap on the rope to, But even with that, I like to have the flexibility of being able to, control which part of my body is burning the energy and controlling and pulling the weight. Sorry, tongue tied here. Anyways, let's get across this lake and see what happens. Come on, boy. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. So, after a few hours of work, getting some wood, a little bit of wood, not too much, but enough to last the night, hopefully. I'm gonna have to go out and get another, I don't know, 10 or 12 good sized logs just to make sure. It never fails that either I get not enough wood or I get way too much. So better to have way too much. That way tomorrow I can hopefully go out, put up some tip ups and see if I can catch any fish. And the snow is so deep, it's very hard to maneuver. It really does put a huge limitation on what you could do. I mean, you could traipse through it. The temperature ain't bad. It's only been around -8, but that also makes for some slushiness. The snow tends to melt and stick to you, which can make it colder. So that's not always a good thing. Marshall's totally wiped. You can see him there. I'm gonna get him sleeping in the sled tonight, but he's fine asleep on the ground there too. He's a trooper. He was going through snow which was higher than him, so it was kind of funny to see that. But yeah, he doesn't bitch. That's the great thing about a dog, anyways. Got the bugout roll hanging up there. That thing is just a great little place to just put your stuff when you're out here and hang it up. Everything's there organized. You don't have to worry about where you put something. My tent, I set up my tent on a wicked angle. I didn't realize it when I was carving out the snow, because I had left maybe about 10 inches or so of snow before I set the tent down. And once I had it all set up, I realized that it was on a wicked slope, not an ideal situation at all. So anyways, let's see what else the night brings.
When I come out here, I gotta ask myself, why do I put myself through this? Really, it's a really physically challenging thing. I mean, I could be sitting at home, sitting on the couch, and I could just be drinking a beer, relaxing, climate control, running water, clean toilet. But you know what I've realized? I've realized that the reason why so many people are unhappy in this world is because they have their wants met, or they're in the process of chasing their wants, but they don't actually know what they need. And I don't mean that in the cliche sense of people don't know what they want, don't know what they need. I mean that people actually forget what they need to survive and what their existence relies on having. When I came out here, I did the 3-mile trudge through knee-deep snow, and towards the end, it was kind of like climbing up a mountain. It felt like, that, because if you've ever climbed a mountain, the closer you are to the summit, the harder it usually gets. The steeper the slope, the more loose the terrain becomes, and you're kind of just clawing those final 100 meters or so. Is a pain in the you-know-what, and that's what it was today. The further I approached my destination, the deeper the snow became, to a point when I was waist deep in snow, even with snowshoes. And then your snowshoe will fall off, and you're trying to pull the sled up a really steep incline, and you can't pull it up, and you fall, and it's just one of those things. But it makes you realize what you need, because at the same time, I'm recognizing that, okay, now, because the temperature here was actually about -8 today, which is nice, Celsius. And when it's nice like that, because you have the sun, the surface temperature is actually a little bit warmer. So the temperature of the air is colder, but the temperature on the surface of your clothes and stuff like that is hotter. And so snow will start to melt on your clothes. And as such, you get wet. And so a sense of urgency always takes hold at some point.
when I'm on these outings. And of course, you try to block out the fact that, you know, I could get hypothermic out here and die because I'm 20 miles, well, I'm 3 miles from the truck, and I'm 3 miles from the truck and about 20 kilometers to the nearest town or civilization. I think there was one guy seen on a snowmobile out here earlier, but I'm pretty sure he's gone now. So there's always that sense of urgency that I got to dig myself out a spot to put down my teepee tent, and then I got to set up the hot stove and all the rest. And of course, I forgot my means of cooking, so I forgot my jet boil, meaning I had to rely on this thing here, which is the water tank, which comes with this Nyko wood stove, which is fantastic. It's so good. It's such a good wood stove. I have nothing to do with the company. All I can say is that Nyko makes a damn good wood stove. If you're gonna get a wood stove, get a Nyko. It's reliable. It's not titanium. It's not super lightweight, but it's light enough, and it's really good. I've done a review on it before, and just a great stove. Anyways, then of course you have to go and get firewood. You have to trudge through, 3 feet of deep snow, and you're dehydrated and you haven't eaten, and this takes hours and hours and hours, and at the same time running the cameras, and all the rest. So it's very taxing, but you know what? It's all worth that one nice, warm bite of food that you can cook over the fire at the end of the day, because that's what you need in order to survive. And this is how I recharge my batteries, by going out and putting myself through these grueling conditions, so at the end of the day I can truly understand and I can truly actually feel a certain kind of pleasure that you can't feel when you're just being given everything in mass like you are in the city, where everything comes easy and you're taking advantage of everything. Maybe you're not trying to take advantage of it, you just have nothing to compare it to. There is no strife, there is no struggle. The biggest struggle is running out to the car because you forgot your cell phone in there or something like that. So, and that becomes a huge, setback mentally. Just little trivial things like that become setbacks. So that's why I do this. It's to practice, survival skills, and it's to acclimate myself to harsh conditions. But at the end of the day, I think it's so that I can truly feel good.
All right. So, as you can see, I have to sleep in the sled tonight. It's kind of embarrassing, but it is what it is. Because I did not bring the proper pieces for my bed cot. But Marshall's just hanging over there in the corner. Are you going to lead the way, or should I? I have a feeling it's going to be me. Man, that is hard work. Beautiful scenery, though. It just sucks to walk through 3 feet of frickin' snow. You can see that on the camera here. And you sink. But without snowshoes, it would be impossible. So, my snowshoes could be bigger. They have a 200-pound limit, and with all my gear, I'm probably rocking about 215. So, yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I kind of screwed up out there on the ice. I was using a new takedown auger that I just purchased, and I left the linchpin at home. It's a piece that connects, I think it's what it's called, but it connects the two parts of the auger together. So I tried to make a makeshift pin, which worked. Helped me drill through like a foot of ice. And of course it decided to crap out right when the auger fell through the ice. So anyways, half the auger is sitting at the bottom of the lake. I still have the handle, and I was able to drill a hole, but you know, that's pretty much, if I don't get anything out of that hole, then I'm pretty much screwed for fishing anyways this trip, unless I go into town and grab an auger, which they're probably going to cost an arm and a leg, so I probably won't. But yeah, you know, c'est la vie. I put a tip up down, so we'll see if we get anything. Who knows, maybe we'll at least get lucky. It's going to be a pretty expensive fish if we do catch one, and I don't have any way. I guess I could use the axe to keep widening the hole if, you know, it starts to freeze over. But anyways, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some hand warmers going, because when I lost that auger down there, I was trying to fish it out with my hands, and that was not a good idea. Damn near froze my fingers off trying to do that. So let's take our Zippo lighter fluid. I have 2 of these. Great thing about the bugout roll, especially in winter, man, you're gonna be losing stuff in the snow left and right if you're not careful. These things are great. They last probably 12. I've had them last 16 plus hours if you fill them up all the way. So really good, and they're much warmer than normal hand warmers. They're bigger though, so you can't really, they're not really made to be put in gloves unless you're wearing one of those really heavy duty large snowmobile mitts, or just large mitts. I take 5 here to warm up my hands. Put the burner on there. Got one more burner in here. Everything is harder with cold fingers. You just want to hold that match on there for a while. Burners last about a season. So, gonna be cooking up some freeze-dried food that I made. Harvest Right is the freeze dryer that I use. It's the only freeze dryer you can get for home use. I've done extensive reviews on that. And I'm gonna be having some chicken primavera. So this was made on June 2017, good till probably June of 2047. So pretty good stuff. In case you're wondering, the tent, it's a seek outside tent. So it's not the greatest tent for the price that you pay, but it's been reliable and it's very lightweight. It's a sill nylon material. I have the Woodstove in here, which is the Nyko wood stove that I did a review on as well. And it's a good system. It's just there's a few things, you know, that are left to be desired, which I'm not going to go into because this video is not a review of that. But, you know, if you want a reliable tent system, Seek Outside is one company that does make 4-season stove jack ready tents. The stove jack is the silicone material that the stovepipe comes into contact with when it exits the tent.
Otherwise, it would just melt the tent. So, got my wood pile here. I got a pretty good haul of wood today. I went and, you know, I've already told you what happened with the the fishing auger there, so that kind of sucked. But I'm not too worried about it because, you know, it's been a fun trip so far. And, you know, as long as I got my heat, I got lots of food, lots of freeze-dried food that I've made and that I've purchased. And, you know, that's, to me, that's the best kind of food to eat out here because it's completely disposable and all you need is water, you know. So, and there's water everywhere around here because of the 3 feet of snow, which has been a real pain in the you-know-what to navigate. It took a long time to clear this spot, and just even hauling the sled anywhere, because the sled is slightly wider than my snowshoe gate. The sled tends to get jammed up in the trail that I carve out with the snowshoes, or what happens is it'll start to lean to one side and it'll almost tip over. So, and no, a wider one wouldn't cut it. In fact, you might even need a more narrower one. But in most situations, it's a really good sled. I'm probably going to do a separate video about sleds because there's a lot to be said about the benefit of and the versatility of a sled. So, something I'd strongly encourage you to get if you don't have one yet. Tried to make it out to the Armadillo super shelter I built last year, but unfortunately got not necessarily lost, but I knew where I was going. I have GPS and all the rest, but you know, I got about a third of the way there trudging through that snow, and it wasn't worth it. So I just turned around because I ended up going on a bit of a detour off path a little ways, and it would have meant that I would have to wrap around again and go and find the trail, and it just wasn't worth it at that point for me. So maybe tomorrow we'll go for another little adventure. Sometimes it's good to just have some R&R, soak it in, and not worry about stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have some freeze-dried food here, and maybe a little tiny little sip of Captain Morgan, just to kind of warm me up a little bit. And no, I know alcohol doesn't warm you up out here. I would strongly advise against using alcohol in a survival situation to get warm. It's going to make you think that you're getting warm, but in reality, it's not going to do you any good. It's going to dehydrate you. It's, you know, it's just not going to put you in the right headspace you need to be in. But if you're like me, you got everything you need and you're good to go, then why the heck not? All right, let's cook this meal up here. This is taking a little while. I didn't bring my jet boil, so we're just kind of relying on firewood we have in here in the Nyko stove, which can get roaring hot. I mean, this sucker can get insanely hot, but it takes a little while to kind of get there. So sometimes it just needs a little bit of convincing. I think if I split some of these logs, I've been kind of lazy. I've just been throwing whole logs in there like this. They work, they just take a little while to kick in. Maybe I'll pop a little bit of scrag in there. This is scrag. It's just the lichens, dead lichens on the dead tree branches. Throw some of this in there so get that party started real quick. Real quick. The stove and the tent is life out here. Without it, you're not gonna last. You know, you can do the snow shelter thing where you dig yourself a Kinsey, but that's no way. You might survive like a night or two, but it's going to be very demoralizing if you don't have fire, if you don't have the heat of a fire to keep you warm. It's, you know, you need it out here, especially with all this snow. it's a big investment to start out, like to get this stuff, but it's worth it. And it's, even if it's only to condition you to the elements, you know, then at least you're better prepared to lead your family if you ever had to do something like this. I've considered next year, I think I'm gonna start upgrading my system and move it up to an actual snowmobile. And if, you know, if finances permit, I may have to do some financing on that, which, you know, whatever. I don't have any outstanding debt besides my house, so I'm not too worried about that. But just to step it up a notch, because geez, walking with a massive load of gear in a sled is not fun. Maybe I'm just getting old, I don't know. But you know, if you can let gasoline do the work, then why not? You know, it's good exercise, don't get me wrong. And I'm doing it, you know, here I am, you know, 2.5 miles in, 2.5 miles out, all through 3 feet of deep snow with a lot of gear and snowshoes. But, you know, I think you limit yourself in terms of what you can actually accomplish out here. If I had a snowmobile, I'd be able to carry a lot more stuff, like a much larger shelter, a canvas type shelter perhaps, which would be much more cozy, where I wouldn't have to like squish down like this. And you know, it's all about levels though with prepping. You know, you want to start off at the bare bones. Yeah, you start off, how do I build a survival snow shelter, you know? And maybe, you know, you work your way into a 3-season tent, and then when you get the finances for that figured out, you look into 4-season tents, you look into the tent stove thing, and you just gradually progress. And you know, eventually it'll be a cabin where I'm living. And I'll already have experienced all of this bug out type stuff, this outdoor minimalist survivalist type stuff. I'll have already had that experience, so if I ever did have to downgrade from the cabin, then you know, it will be doable because I'll have roughed it before. So yeah, this water's sure taking a while to boil. Sometimes it depends on which part of the stove you have it on here. It's definitely really hot. It's nice to get it to a good rolling boil. It makes the freeze-dried stuff cook faster. I'll just open it for you. See what we're looking at here. So I show a video of myself vacuum sealing all this stuff, and actually I have a video of me vacuum sealing rice, and within this there's an oxygen absorber that you put in there yourself. All freeze-dried food comes with this stuff, and I believe it might absorb a bit of the moisture, but don't quote me on that. So yeah, it's just lightweight, smells great, looks great. It retains its exact texture. It retains 99% of the nutrient value, the taste, everything is there. It's just an amazing technology. The machines are very expensive and they pay themselves off if you use it regularly. So definitely look into that if you're in the market for a big ticket appliance that can preserve pretty much any type of food for 25 to 30 years. I mean, that's saying a lot right there. That's 5 times as long as MREs. Yeah, I mean, if you're on a budget, all you need is rice and beans, you know, really. I mean, I say that, you know, I mean, that's the bare minimum you need to survive. Variety is nice, but if that's all you had, rice, beans, and some salt or some soy sauce or something like that, you'd be satisfied with it, you know. So, but I would strongly suggest getting some stuff like this to diversify your palate a bit. Anyways, once this is done, boiled, I'll basically just pour the water into here, roll the top up. Most vacuum sealed bags like this that come like Mountain House, they have a Ziploc seal, so then you can let it sit there for 9 minutes. With this, I have to roll it up afterwards, which is fine. It'd be nice if I brought like a clothespin or something to hold it closed. I didn't, so I'll just have to roll it up and lean it against something. But that'll be supper. So
Thought I would just give you guys a quick tour of the campsite. Wasn't able to get any fish today, unfortunately. I changed up the bait. I was trying out a different kind of spoon. I think it's called a Swedish pimple or something like that, but it's just a flashy spoon. I was trying a few different little tricks, but I think the hole that I had made, the one hole I was able to get before I lost my frickin' auger down the ice hole, which was a stupid thing to do. But live and learn, I guess. I just don't think there's many fish there, although in the off season there usually is. So anyways, so coming in here, this is the wood stove. I forgot the spark arrestor, so I've been taking a little bit of minor damage on the tent, nothing really major. No, I think there was like maybe 2 little tiny burn holes, but nothing that can't be covered with some tape. And yeah, just got lots of wood, more than enough wood for the night. Got to go overkill. Just Marshall's food there, and then we have my gear, which is just miscellaneous gear. It's Marshall's little bed there. It's more than enough for him. He's this guy's used to sleeping like outside in the snow. He'll sometimes choose snow over his doghouse. I'm not sure how much he likes the minor smoke that we get in here. There really isn't a lot, but might be a minor irritation that he has to get used to. And the bug out roll in my sled, and of course I'm sleeping in the sled because what Marshall's sleeping on there, that's actually supposed to be my camp cot, and I forgot the basically like the little props that prop it up. So another stupid move. Just a little camp chair, little table, foldable aluminum table, camera gear, and that's about it. And out here it's kind of a mess. Got a couple tripods, a felling axe. Believe it or not, I hauled that Haltifors felling axe out here. But it was worth it because it certainly comes in handy. And of course the Silky Nada. These are currently back ordered at my store, but man, what a great tool. We have the Segoy Katana Boys tripods, some ice fishing gear over there, and yeah, that's about it. Alright, I'm going to give you a quick update on what I got going on here. So I got my wood stove right here to the right of me. I'm currently sleeping in the sled, as you can see. And then to the left of me is my heat reflective shield, because this sil nylon doesn't hold heat worth a darn. It's very lightweight. So this reflective heat wall makes up for that, because what was happening is this side is getting way too hot, this side is getting way too cold, so it really does help it balance out. And the great thing about this system here is that I could just open this sucker up. See, the coils are hot. Usually the coils aren't hot, but they're a little hot now. So there's my fire burning there, and I can just grab myself a log. So I got my wood pile over here, and just reach over. So we can get this all in frame here. So just reach over, grab a log, open the gate, and I can quickly stoke the fire. And I can keep this sucker going all night, only waking up maybe a couple times a night. So, you know, it's not going to be throwing off the most heat, and sometimes it gets down to just a few coals. I just throw another log in there, turn over, go back to sleep, and within 10 minutes it's roaring again. Alright, so day 3. I just I'm trying to take stock of camp here because I got a packer in today. Unfortunately, I'd love to stay longer, but I got to go home and send off a bunch of bugout rolls that people are eagerly anticipating, because my goal is to always get those out as soon as possible. I think my record is probably like 15 minutes. Somebody placed an order, bam, to the post office, 15 minutes. I just try to, sometimes we have delays with production, but, when there isn't delays, those rolls are getting out as fast as possible. So myself and my campsite are probably a complete disaster zone right now. That's all the wood I have left. I was burning it very liberally last night because I knew it was going to be my last day. Marsha went out and had a good little run around this morning and came back for another little nap here. He's been doing that a lot lately. I'm not sure if, he's still growing, obviously, so new dogs like that, they can get tired out pretty easily, and I think the last couple days I've just burnt him out a little bit, but overall he's fine. He'll be fine. He's well fed out here and well taken care of, so yeah. But I'm just having my morning cup of coffee here. Starbucks without any sugar or cream kind of sucks. It's pretty dark. I like dark coffee, but not this dark. Ooh, could use just a little bit of cream and sugar, like a quarter teaspoon of each would make it perfect. I'm no stranger to cowboy coffee, eating coffee with the grinds in. I did suffer a little bit of damage last night without that spark arrestor, as you can see here. There's a couple little holes around like that. Nothing major. I mean, this isn't my primary 3 other season tent anyways, so I'm not too worried about rain, and that would be the only thing I'd be worried about with those holes, is rain getting in. They're easily sealable, but I wasn't gonna just not go camping because I didn't bring my spark arrestor, and there really wasn't any way I could improvise something like that. Unfortunately, I didn't have tinfoil, or maybe I did. I'm not sure if I did or not, but I probably could have done something like that. But even with that, if that goes flying out the chimney and is red molten hot, that's even worse, if that were to hit the side of the tent. So whatever, it is what it is. The one way I was able to mitigate the problem somewhat is the damper here. Not leaving it entirely open, like this straight would be entirely open, but leaving it kind of on an angle like that kind of catches a bit of the spark from blowing up. But yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna pack her in, and what I might do is just do a sled loadout. My pulk is not as big as some people's that I've realized, because I've been watching a few other snow trekking videos out here. People bring out a lot of gear, and I totally respect that, because gear is great to have out here. The more you have, the better. The more food you can bring, the more it's going to make life easier. So maybe next time I might even look into getting a longer sled, because I just felt that I could have had a few more things out here. I mean, I have my chair, my table, but there was a few more pieces of furniture and stuff that I would have liked, especially considering that my tent only weighs 3 or 4 pounds. And most people are bringing out those massive canvas tents, which weigh a lot more. So I think I could easily scale up in size what I'm doing here, and so a new little piece of gear I was trying out this time is this Pillow X, and great little piece of gear. Really portable, fits in the bugout roll, blows up, and actually provides a lot of cushion. It made my sleep in the sled a lot more comfortable last night. So Pillow X, I give you a thumbs up. Just a quick tip, if you are new to winter camping, my suggestion, especially on a cold day, if you're taken down, always leave the camp stove to last, because throughout the process of camp down right now, we have minus 17 degrees Celsius, but we have a really strong wind coming in, which makes it feel like minus 30. So my advice is to keep that wood stove burning right up until pretty much everything is packed to go. Then take down your tent, then take down the wood stove, and that will ensure that you'll have a place of refuge as you're packing up, because in these kind of winds, the temperature is not so bad. The temperature without the wind wouldn't be too bad. Minus 17 is nothing really out here. But I shouldn't say it's nothing. It's still quite cold. As long as you have a place to warm up your hands, if you have hand warmers, you should be fine. But with that wind, it just chills you right to the bone, and especially bright and early in the morning, to have to deal with that can be a lot. So my advice is to always keep that wood stove burning right up until the end, because you're going to need it. Well, we're leaving the spot, and there's the loadout. Got a nice brisk headwind here, which isn't too bad because the temperature's low, so you're sweating, but exposed skin freezes right away. This guy is having the time of his life. Has no issue with the weather whatsoever. But us humans, us frail, pathetic humans, we're so dependent on technology. We rely on it out here, that's for sure. So we're gonna head back. We got about that much ground to cover to the tree line, and then about another kilometer from there. Sporting his one Tigris backpack. Doesn't seem at all bothered by it. Right now it's pretty lightweight. He's packing out our garbage. He packs in his food. It's not the greatest fitting of backpacks. Okay, he's going for that spring there. It's a thing when you're crossing a lake, even though there's like 18 inches of ice, there's these pockets of springs, because this is a spring-fed lake, and it looks like Marshall's trying to go for a drink there, but maybe deciding against it. But the one Tigris backpack, not the greatest, but it seems to stay on. It's just not the most ergonomic fitting, so I'm still looking for something which doesn't look stupid, all the fancy bright colors. I'd like something that could blend into his coat, like this one here. And I think he's capable of probably even carrying a little bit more, but because it'd be nice that if he could pack in 7 days worth of food, which right now I'd say with this thing he's maybe getting 4 days max, because he eats a lot. He's a growing boy. Maybe that'll start to level out as he gets older. We'll see.
Never let them know your next move. Don't you know bad boys move in silence and violence, taking from your eyes. I done squeeze mad clips at these cats for they bricks and chicks. Number 3, never trust nobody. Your mama said
issues, the gender pronoun issues, what's happening in Canada around this bill C-16 and the gender provision in the Ontario Human Rights Code. Just bring us up to speed there, and I think we should spend probably no more than 10 minutes or so there, and then we'll move on to areas where
What's wrong with your ear?
Fully agree.
10 minutes would be plenty. Yep. Canada moved at the
I'm listening to Sam Harris versus Jordan Peterson.
On the surface of it,
Interesting conversation. We're heading home.
In keeping with the extension of human rights protection to different groups that's been occurring, say, over the last 30 to 50 years.